to you. Good morning, good morning to you. Good morning, good morning. Won't you share with a friend or two? Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning to you. And many more. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome, welcome, welcome to Daring Dialogues. I'm your host today, Shantae Charles. I hope that everybody is having a great and wonderful day. Um, for some reason, I cannot see the chat over there, so I'm going to um, keep up my chat over here on my lower screen. So, good morning. I want to start out by reading a small devotional today. I didn't read yesterday's, but I think I want to read yesterday's today. Um, and it is called Jumping to Conclusions. If you're with me for the first time, today is Wednesday Relationships, where we talk all things relationship. Jumping to Conclusions. A quote by Miriam Makeba starts off the devotional. Worry is interest paid on trouble before it is due. Anybody have anybody in your life that's always worrying about things, that's always worrying about what never actually manifests, but they just constantly stay worried over certain things? The writer says here, I recently heard about a man who worried about getting to work on time. Each day he followed the same routine. His alarm went off at 6:30 a.m. He rose briskly, shaved, showered, gulped down his breakfast, brushed his teeth, grabbed his briefcase, got into his car, drove to the nearby ferry, parked his car, rode the ferry across to the downtown business district, ran to his office, marched to the elevator, rode to the 17th floor, and arrived at his desk no later than 8 o'clock. He followed this same routine for nearly 10 years. One morning, his alarm failed to go off and he slept 15 minutes late. When he awoke, he was panic stricken. He rushed through a shower, nicked himself when he shaved, skipped his breakfast, snatched his briefcase, leapt into his car, sped to the ferry landing, jumped out of his car, and looked for the ferry. He saw it out in the water a few feet from the dock. He ran down to the dock at full speed until he reached the edge of the pier, then lunged out over the water and landed miraculously on the deck of the ferry with a loud thud. The captain rushed down to make sure he was all right and said, Man, that was a treacherous leap. But if you would have just waited another minute, we would have reached the dock and you could have walked on. Most time spent worrying is wasted. If you spend time worrying, you will accomplish little. A time management expert asserts that the majority of our fears are unnecessary. Of the 8% of the worries that are real and legitimate, 90% revolve around things that we ourselves cannot influence. So, why worry? Learn to spend your time in more productive ways. The affirmation today, I can't change the past and I won't worry about the future. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't plan for the future, right? But it does mean that you don't put yourself in a place of anxiety over your future. Today's devotional is You Must Be Dreaming. Henry Parks, entrepreneur, said, In one hand, I have an idea. In the other, I have an obstacle. Which one grabs your attention? There is no dream in life that is beyond your ability. The Creator would not plant a seed in your mind if He did not plan to give you the means to nurture and cultivate it into a beautiful thing. Once we know that our Creator is working with us and not against us, we can cherish our dreams as divinely inspired visions of our newer life. Then, what we need to do is to hold firmly to our dream, especially during the moments of doubt and challenge. The key to transforming your life is to keep your mind and heart on your dream. As Amway salesman George Halsey once remarked, obstacles are what you see when you take your eyes off your goal. Your dream is a sprouting creation that needs desire and support to develop to full maturity. Then it returns the care by nourishing the dreamer as well as those who promote it. Every great achievement begins as a dream. A vision of success is a seminal idea that must be cultivated and strengthened by the individual who believes in his or her dream to stand by it in moments of difficulty. Are you willing to stand by your dream in times of opposition? Are you willing to say yes to yourself and your idea when others stand against you? If you answer yes to these questions, then you are certain to succeed. And for your dream, there is none other than God's dream for you. And I'm going to say God's dream in you. Today, I will say yes to my dreams, changing my life in the process. And on that note, I will be right back. So, as we talk about dreams, I want to give you an example of what it means um, to live in your dream because I think sometimes people need tangible examples. So I'm here to give that to you. Um, this week, I have been looking at all the news about China and about the United States and about the tariff wars and about them beefing with each other. And I went into my closet today and I said, you know what? Since we're talking about brands, this is mine, but this is just one of them. And so as I'm looking at the United States, and I'm looking at China, I'm looking at the United States, I'm looking at China, and I'm looking back at all of this conversation around brands. And this is something that I told my husband many, many, many years ago. I said, I'm not really caught up on labels. Most of the time, if you see me and you see me take a picture, you don't really see me say, this shirt is by such and such, or these pants are by such and such. A lot of times I actually buy brands or buy sort of what they call non-brands clothing because I like to mix and match things and make it my own. Well, one of the things that I had a dream about doing for a very long time was creating my own line of shirts and hoodies and accessories and all of that with things that I say all the time. And this is one of them. Self care is a revolutionary act. This is mine. So as I see these conversations happening, I think about how many people have these ideas for things and they never fully execute it. Did I have help executing this? Absolutely not. Did I have to get on the internet and figure out, how do I start this? What companies can I use? What kind of things can I create? How can I take something that I say all the time and how can I make that into my personal branding? And so I went and I did some self learning. I watched some videos. I looked at some other creators, people who had already started their lines, and I learned from them. And then I set about putting together my own line of my own phrases. I got a whole shop with nothing but original phrases. Now, because we're in such a, how can I put it, such a theft ready society, so many people who have put their ideas out there, their ideas have been snatched by larger brands or larger companies, and those companies are now selling other people's ideas, right? So there's a lot of that going on. But I want to encourage you that even if you feel like you have a dream and you don't know where to start by looking it up. start by figuring out, how do I get this done? Okay. So that's one thing. Oh, and this is made in Honduras, not China. So that's one thing. The second thing is creating my first full length CD. Um, these are some of these songs are songs that I had been singing to myself, singing in private, singing to some of my friends for many years before I decided to work on a full production of music. I executive produced it. I funded the project, my husband and I. Um, I own the copyrights to the music, to the songs. They're registered, all of that good stuff, before I put out the music. And so, again, I could have just continued to sing to myself, sing in the shower, sing to my close friends, and say, one day I'm gonna put this music out. And then I started, of course, learning about the music industry, learning about publishing, um, listening to music greats and their stories and their experiences about producing and about contracts and about getting into predatory contracts that make you a slave, and looking at all of the greats and looking at people that we have admired for so many years actually finally getting the rights to their own music. And I said to myself, I don't want to go through any of that. I don't want to go through any of that. So I'm going to just remain independent. I'm going to put out the music that I want, the music the way I want it to sound, the length of time that I want the song to be, because there are recording and radio play limitations and all that. But I said no. I want to be able to create music the way that I want to create it. I want to choose the design. I want to choose the packaging, all of those good things. And I put my music out, and I've been selling my music. You can stream my music. It's available on all platforms. I'm just saying. What I'm saying is, I'm not just reading to you, I'm not just talking about it, I'm putting it into action and doing it. So there are a lot of people who talk and then they don't manifest. That ain't me. Okay? All right. So, clothing, music, books. Yes, I have books. 5 of them, actually. Not only do I write and publish, but I also help other people edit their books. I help other people start their own publishing companies. Why? Because again, I want to write what I want to write and publish it and put it out into the world. I don't write small books, okay? I don't. I'm just going to be honest. I don't write small books when it comes to fiction. I have some nonfiction work that is ebook form. Again, you can Google me. You can find my books. You can find my music. You can find my shop. Okay. All right. So get to it. Don't let people stop you. People are going to give you plenty of reasons why you shouldn't get started, why you shouldn't do it, why you shouldn't create it. Even if you're looking around and you're like, well, I don't think anybody believes my dream enough to help me fund it. Save your coins, stack your coins, start funding your vision, break it down into small, doable parts, begin to fund each part of your vision. Get started. I don't know how much I can stress that. Get started. Start with the small thing. Maybe you can't afford to put out a whole album yet. Start by producing one song. Put that song out as a single. Okay? But I want you to start somewhere. Start. And I'm going to give you another secret. I didn't have a whole lot of people saying, yay, go Shantae. Yay, you can do this. Okay, I wasn't waiting on a cheering section for me to get these things done. You know what I had? I had my creator's approval telling me to get it done, and I had self assurance that I knew that these things would benefit the world and not just me. That is what I had. I had the support of my husband. I had the support of a circle of friends, a squad of friends who said, "We believe in you. We're excited about what you're doing." But it wasn't a whole, thousands of people saying, "Yeah, we want to see this. We want you to get this done." No, I had to have some self-confidence and some self-assurance to know that what I have to offer the world is important. And some people will find out about it a little bit later. They'll catch on. They'll come across my music or my books or whatever. And that'll be that story. And I've had plenty of that. And I'm very, very thankful and grateful for it. But what I'm saying again is if you're waiting for someone to come along and pat you on the back, if you're waiting for someone to nudge you to say, "I think you should do that," don't wait for the nudge. The question is, did your creator call you to it? Do you have that internal nudge that says, "I need to do this. I need to get this done"? And maybe this is your nudge today. Maybe this is the nudge that says, "You know what? I've been sitting on this thing. It's National Poetry Month. I've been sitting on my poems." I had one young lady, um, I had her poetry. We had lost touch with each other, but she had a whole book of poetry, beautiful poetry. I read some of it and I said, "I don't know if I will ever see this girl again, but if I ever see her again, I want to make sure that I hold on to her work so that I can get her work back to her because it was powerful poetry." Do you know it would be 20 years, 20 before I would reconnect with her to tell her, "You know that book of poetry that you had so many years ago when we were in college? Guess what? I still have the book of poetry." And I mailed her book back 20 years later. Now, all kind of crazy stuff went on in my life in those 20 years. But one thing I did do is I held on to something. I found myself stewarding somebody else's work because I felt that convicted about it and compelled about it. I moved across 3 states and I still had this girl's book of handwritten poetry. And I was like, I have got to get this poetry back to this woman who is now a woman married with children. Okay. But I said, oh, I've been reconnected with her so that I can make sure that she gets this part of her creative life back. And I was able to send it to her, mail it to her. She received it. Now, I don't know what she did with it. I don't know if it's still in seed form, right? But I did my part. I held on to it, I stewarded it, and I got it back to her. So I'm like, I don't feel any, pressure to tell her, "Hey, you need to go ahead and publish that." No. The only thing I was told, the only thing I felt compelled to do was to hold on to her poetry until I could see her again. And so, again, I don't know if this is your wake up call. I don't know if this is your gentle nudge. I don't know if this is the 5 alarm going off in yourself and in your soul, but do it. Okay? Do it. Don't let more time go by. Okay? Don't let more time go by and you have not done that thing that is within you that you know you're supposed to do. All right. Right now in my life, I don't have any regrets because I'm doing the things that I know I'm supposed to do. Would I like there to be more money along with all the things I'm doing? Absolutely. But I know that that will too come because I'm in the zone and I'm in the place of doing what I know I'm supposed to do. All right. And good morning to those of you who are coming in. Good morning, We Dare Squad. All right. We're going to hop today into, because this is Relationship Wednesday, we're going to hop back into Drama Free, a guide to managing unhealthy family relationships. And this chapter, which is perfect for today, is called building support outside your family. What did we just talk about? Okay. I didn't have a whole lot of support for some of the things that I'm doing. Were some family members on board? Yeah, they were on board in the way that they could be. But when it came down to like financing, I had to finance my projects. Okay. Now my projects are making their own money, but I had to do the initial financing, which meant I had to believe in my own products. Okay. I had to believe in my own skill, right? So let's talk today a little bit about building support outside your family. What happens when you have to create, right, your chosen family? Let's take a look. The writer is going to give us a synopsis here to sort of start us off. Dan's mother worked, and he saw his father infrequently. His brother and sister were already old enough that they had moved out of the house. While his mom was at work, Dan stayed with his neighbors, the Reddings, and on weekends he played with their son and daughter. Mr. Redding became like a surrogate father to Dan, and he felt like a member of their family. The Reddings were always a pivotal part of his life as Dan grew older. They attended his graduations and spent holidays with him and his mother. Once Dan started a family of his own, Mr. and Miss Redding were like grandparents to his children, and the Reddings' children were like an aunt and uncle. Dan couldn't imagine his life without the Reddings, but his father and biological siblings couldn't understand his connection to them. For Dan, family consisted of his wife, his children, his mother, and the Redding family. Family is not solely by blood. It's also the people who choose you. Mm, just sit with that for a moment. Family is also the people who choose you. How do I know the people who are a part of my chosen family? They're the people that check on me. They are the people that call. They are the people that sometimes when I do feel down or doubtful or, questioning another step I should take in my journey, those tend to be the people that show up that I don't have to call. They actually call me first and they say, "Hey, I've been thinking about you. You were on my mind today. I had a dream about you and I wanted to share it with you." Those are people, those are the people who choose you. That's a part of your chosen family. Family is not solely by blood, it's also the people you feel deeply connected to. There are people that are not people that I talk to every single day, but I feel deeply connected to them. Sometimes I do have dreams about them and I share it with them. Sometimes I have pledged to pray for them, no matter where we are in the world. And when those people come up in my prayers, when they come up in my mind's eye, some of us have that, where you can picture people as you're praying. When they come up in my mind's eye, I pray about that. If I feel like the Creator wants to give me a message to give them, I'll text them and say, "Hey, this was on my heart during my prayer time, during my meditation time, and I feel like you need to hear this as well." So it's the people that you feel deeply connected to. Family is not solely by blood. It's also the people who lovingly hold you accountable. Mm. These are the people that are put into your life to make sure that you stay authentically you. These are the people that can hold your feet to the fire, and you know that they're going to do it in love. You only when people like this hold you accountable, it's like they can be telling you something very, very harsh, right? But all you feel emanating from them is love. So all you can do is just say, "You know what? I surrender." Okay. All right. Yep, I hear you. Yep. hmm Those are the people who lovingly hold you accountable. These are not the people that when they speak to you, if you're paying attention to your emotions, sometimes when people speak to you, you can feel how that person is delivering that message to you. Some of us can feel spite. and jealousy and envy and sabotage and undermining when people talk to us. And those are the people that you just look at like this and blink a few times and you nod your head and you say, I hear you. Thank you for your insight. And then you take that, and if you're really good with your energy, you know how to extract from what they said and then leave all of that other stuff that they brought with it to the side. I used to could not do that. I used to just say, you know what? I see what you're on. I see what time of day you're on, and I'm just gonna put it all in the trash. But now I've learned to say, I know that person is speaking from a place that's not sincere and not healthy, but here's what they said that is true. So I'll take that nugget and then I'm going to take all the rest of the other stuff and I'm going to toss it. The scripture says, hold fast to that which is good. So I've learned to do that. All right. Family is not solely by blood, it's also the people who offer you a sense of safety. Oh my goodness. I met so many people during the time my husband and I were in transition. We were living in a transition home for about 9 months. And during that time, we met some really genuine, solid people. We've known them for over a decade now. But they were people who offered us a sense of safety. They were people who were not trying to um, already or to further exacerbate what was happening in our life. Now, we met a lot of shady and shoddy people in that time as well. We met people who saw us down and decided to stomp on us more. Yeah, we met them too, and we remember them, their faces and their names, which we shall not name. But we also met people who offered us a sense of safety. We met people who said, we know you're down. We know that this is a temporary situation, and we're going to help lift you up out of it. We're going to be people who are not going to kick you while you're already down. Those people are chosen family. Those people are still a part of our life. Family is also people who consistently show up for you. So there are people in your life that you might not see every day. You might not see every month. You might not even see every year. They can still be your chosen family. But then there are also those people that consistently show up for you. They're at every game. They're at every party. They're all over your social media. They are rooting you on. They are cheering for you. They are sowing into your endeavors. They are some of your what we call day ones. They have been there. They're not going anywhere. Please do not forget about those people. Don't push those people into the shadows when you get new connections and new friends, because these are the people who have been consistently showing up for you. And I said within myself, I don't ever want to be that person. I don't want to be the person that ignores the day one people who have been there for me because new people are coming into my life and into my space. Family is also the people who are willing to give you what you need. Do you have people that are willing to give you what you need? Sometimes they may not have it, but it's the intention. If they had it, would they have given it to you? Would it, you have been able to count on them? And a lot of times, sometimes we need to, again, check our relationships and make sure that we're not just taking, and not giving anything back. So, one thing I would challenge you to do is to look at the givers in your life, who people who are always giving, and ask yourself, when is the last time I gave back to them? Because givers, one thing about givers, you have to check them. You do. You have to check on givers because they will give and give and give and give and give and not be getting anything back. Some of those same givers feel uncomfortable with receiving. I know a lot of people like that. You try to give them something back and they're like, no, 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 I don't want it. No, you're going to take it today. You're going to take it because you're always giving. So the people who are willing to give you what you need. And lastly, the people who know you well and love you greatly. These are the people that some people joke and they call it telepathy, right? These are the people that you can just look at each other from across the room and you can know what each other is thinking. These are the people that when your back is against the wall, when your reputation is being maligned, when people are saying things about you, these are the people who know you well enough to never believe something that is completely out of your character. These are the people you never have to defend yourself with because they know you. These are the people that will go to bat for you in rooms that you are not in. These are the people that will get your naysayers and the gossipers on the phone, and they will call you and they will say, now, what was that you had to say? These are the people who know you well and the people who love you greatly. These are the people who will take off their earrings for you and put on their black Air Force Ones. Oh, yes. These are the people who know you well and who love you greatly. Now, none of these descriptions are in her book, okay? I just gave you the main points. In adulthood, we choose our relationships. Family means connection, not just blood ties. Dan chose his family based on where he felt the most connected and the most supported. Titles versus roles. And we're going to stop here for today, okay? Titles versus roles. People can hold a title without playing the role associated with that title. For instance, some mothers aren't nurturing, caring, or reassuring. Some siblings aren't loyal or supportive. Assuming someone embodies a certain quality based on their title is simply inaccurate, and sometimes it can leave us feeling disappointed. It's possible for a person to trust a friend more than a sibling when that friend embodies the qualities that the sibling should have. For example, 10 important components of a healthy relationship. As I'm reading these components, and we're going to close up the reading part today, as I'm reading these components, I want you to think about the people in your life. As you hear these components, see if a person shows up in your mind or in your thought process, or a name comes to mind when you hear the word. Okay? Here we go. Trust, joyful interactions, deep, meaningful conversations, authenticity, nurturing each other's needs, healthy communication, kindness with considerate correction, appreciating each other, providing comfort, support, verbally and physically. And as you heard those, did the same name come up for more than one? Or did the same face appear for more than one? These components can be found in relationships within the family or with your friends, your elders, sometimes your coworkers, your guides, your coaches, your neighbors, and so on. All right. The next time we come back and talk, we'll be in the other book and we'll be talking about trauma. We'll be talking about trauma and we'll be talking about adult abuse. There are so many people, believe it or not, who are walking around and they're experiencing abuse as adults from other adults. And this just simply should not be. We're going to talk about shame and guilt that people have after trauma and how secrecy can impact the ability to communicate your boundaries. All right. So that will be on next Wednesday, hopefully. All right. I am not sure if Pastor Ben is with us today. I don't see him in the chat. And let's go ahead and take a look at some of our comments. Awesome. All right. Moju Nook, I hope I'm saying that right. Thank you for sharing your comments today. Yes. Lady Stephanie, thank you. Thank you for being here and being a part of the We Dare Squad. I do not see Pastor Ben here. Okay, I see you at the top here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and send you the link. Let me do that now. And hopefully it will let you in without a problem. Okay, yep, I just sent you the link. Hopefully you will get it. Check your spam too. And hopefully we can have you on in just a moment. All right. As he is getting ready to come on, I do want to say one last thing. If you are interested in a consult, I do help people with creative ideas. If you're a business owner and you're looking for some innovation in your business, if you are looking to figure out how can you get started in any of the industries that I talked about, you can email me at thedaringdialogues@gmail.com. I do consultations up to an hour, and you can email me there. Just put in your headline consultation, creative consult, and then I will respond back and tell you how you can take advantage of that and get started. All right, here we go. I'll also put my email into the chat here. Good morning. Okay. Hmm.
Was that not necessarily family?
Okay.
He said family, and it lines up with what you were saying. Family are those that you are connected to, those that I've connected you to, and those that are part of your life, and they will never leave that, and they always have your back. He said that's family.
Hmm.
Relatives, you're born to relatives.
Hmm.
See, that's the
Yeah.
bloodline, your relatives. Now, you got some relatives that plot against you. That's not family. Family don't plot against you.
Listen.
Hmm. Yeah. So, and I've been speaking on that ever since, that conversation, because people like to say family, family, family. I say, well, not everybody you're related to is family. And I tell them my conversation with God. So, I learned from that. I learned from that. I understand who.
Hmm. Hmm. Your sound is going in and out just a little bit. Your sound is going in and out a little bit. Can you your sound is going in Keep talking. Okay, I think it's getting better now. Hmm. Yeah.
That's it. These people, you can't do them telling anything about me because they will straighten you out. They know me
Hmm.
better than my siblings. Seriously, they know me better than my siblings. But then again, we're always in contact and they're always around me. Now, I do have two siblings. We're tight and they're the same way. You can't come to them just saying anything to them about me because they know me. See, and
Hmm.
that's the difference. You got some that decide who you are and what you are.
Hmm.
You got others that see who you are and what you are, and
Hmm.
they stand on that. So those that decide in their own minds and figure out, assume that's what they're doing, assuming
Hmm.
those are not family. Those are relatives because 9 times out of 10 is something negative that they're assuming, and they will spread it.
Mm. See.
See that they will spread it. I've been there. I've gone through that many times and for years, and they still haven't stopped.
Mm.
So, I understand, okay, you're my siblings, you're just relatives, you're not family. And that's how I see it, and I stand on that. I love them. Yes, I love them. I do love them. But I understand that they are not family, they are relatives. So, that's where I stand on that. That's something that I learned, and especially through that conversation with God. So, you
And
know,
for people who lean more toward, I would say, Christianity or faith, two stories that I tend to look at. Sometimes I try to read them at least one time a year over again just to read them, because every
mm-hmm,
time I read it, it feels like I pull something else out about relationships and family. Well, three stories actually. The story of Ruth and Naomi, that's a good example of, and Orpah, that's a good picture of family versus
mm-hmm,
relative. Ruth
mm-hmm,
became family to Naomi. Orpah was a relative. She chose to stay. Con, she chose to stay a relative versus that more intimate family connection.
mm-hmm.
And neither one
And,
of them were her blood daughters, but there was a definite difference in the relationship. I also think of the relationship between David and Jonathan. They were
mm-hmm,
not related, but they were family. He
mm-hmm,
did he did whatever he could to protect David's life. He believed in David as being a future king, and he was willing to go beyond, even to the displeasure of his own father,
mm-hmm.
to be like that family, that brother to David. Then I think
Ye-
about, of course, Joseph, the most well known, right? He gets betrayed by his brothers,
Mm-hmm,
and though he reunites with them, they don't become like family again. They remain his relatives. He sees about them. He makes sure that their families are provided for, but you don't see them go back into a close bond or anything like that. They remained his brothers, but they really remained relatives. His father was
mm-hmm,
his family. He had a closer relationship with Benjamin,
mm-hmm,
right? Because he was like, "Where's my baby brother? I'm holding this one till you go get the baby."
mm-hmm.
Again, another good example of the difference between family, seeing people as that more close, intimate relationship rather than that broader term that just connects you by blood.
Yeah. And speaking of Benjamin being the baby brother, I'm also the baby brother. Um, I'm the fourth of eight. Right now, there's only three of the first four living. The oldest one passed away back in the '90s.
Mm,
But most of my problems come from those that are younger than me.
interesting.
See, it's like, oh, you're just a baby brother. It seems like that's their attitude. But yeah, but you're younger than I am. See, you're looking at me like a baby, and I'm far from a baby. I'm wise. If I must say so myself, I'm wiser than the oldest too. See, because they are the ones that will fall for foolishness. I'm going to see it. I'm going to spot it, and I'm going to call it out. See, and that's probably why me and my other two sisters are so close because they're pretty much the same way. They're as they say, call a spade a spade. Yeah, that's them. And those are the two that they'll go to the mat. As we say, stand in the paint. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they'll stand in the paint when it comes to me. So because they know me, they know who I am, and they know who I am to God. So they don't have an issue with it. And it's the three of us that are real close right now through all the stuff that's been going on. So
I
um
felt like when I read the story of Joseph, I identified with Joseph because Joseph to me was caught in between.
mhm
On one side, he was the youngest, but on the other side, he was the oldest
mhm
until, well, yeah, he was the oldest of Rachel's children because
mhm
Rachel had him and Benjamin. So he was the oldest of Rachel's children, but he was the second to last of the children overall. So he had this young this young old thing going on. And that's how my family life is. Of my mother's children, I am the youngest. I am the baby. So I grew up being sort of treated like the baby. But of my
mhm
father's children, I'm his firstborn, and I'm his only daughter. By birth. He took on other children with his other wife. But I saw so I felt the tension growing up because when I'm at home with my older brother and sister, I'm baby. But when I'm around my father's children, I'm big sister. So I always felt that tension of being little baby sister over here and big sister over here. And so that's one of the reasons why I like the story of Joseph, and I go back
mhm
and read it because it holds that tension for me. Final
you
thought.
know, well, I'm gonna go here. I get a little bit of that too because my two brothers, they were the oldest two, and when they left, it was my older sister and then me. So I became like that big brother, the guardian, and then you got my little sisters. Now, when my older sister left and went to college, then there it was. That was me. You know, that was me. I'm the brother. I'm the big brother. I got to look after my sisters. So, but yeah, we have to open our eyes and realize that not all blood, as they say, not all skin folk are kinfolk, not all relatives are family.
You might want to coin that.
Yeah, you know what? Put that on
You
the
might,
T-shirt, huh?
yeah, you might want to coin that because it's true. It's true. And like you said, part of um having a life of peace and part of having a life where you feel like you're in good relationship with people is really identifying those two things.
Hmm.
Who is a relative? Who is family? Who are my friends like family? Who are the people that are in my life that value who I am, that see me the way I see myself? Because if I see myself as a whole, independent, healthy person, and the people that I'm around see me as less than, or they see me as broken, or they see me as someone who is in need of their criticism or their perpetual fixing, You have those people. You can never do
Mhm.
anything right ever. And
Mhm.
so they sort of make your life, you feel the tension around them because they're trying to bring you into something, or they're trying to make you into something, because they don't feel that you are good enough, or they don't feel that you're whole within yourself, or that you can think for yourself. So it is
Mhm.
important in terms of just your basic life, your quality of life, who you have around you, and
Mhm.
understanding how people see you. How do you see yourself? How do the people around you see you? And do they see you in a positive light? Or do they see you as a problem, something to fix, something to criticize, someone to demean,
Mhm.
someone to undermine, someone to sabotage? Because
Mhm.
again, it does matter. And so
Mhm.
when I check your pulse and I see that you don't see me the way I see myself, I've got two options here. I can continue to be in that space with you. I can continue to let you be a part of my life, sandpapering me where I'm smooth. Or I can make the choice to say, you know what? We're on two different pages about who I am, because I know who I am. And your perception of me is not aligned with who I know myself to be. And so if we're going to continue in a relationship, if you're going to be in my sphere, then I need you to start aligning with who I know I am. And if you can't do that, then I have to put you out into the extended
Mhm.
category. Stay over there.
Yeah.
Stay over there.
Stay right over there.
And again, sometimes you cannot change people's perception about you if they don't want to change. So again, you have to
Mhm.
decide, am I going to be okay with this person being in my life, being in my space? How often am I going to allow this person to be in my space? If you're in a situation where you live with this person day in, day out, and you can't, because some people are like, well, I can't just up and leave because I rely on them for certain things. Then you have to work on, how can I limit my interactions with this person? If I've got to see them every day, do I have to see them all day? How can I start weaning myself from a person that I know is not bringing me into a place of um, a good experience, a good quality of life, or even how I feel about myself? This is how I feel about myself. This person feels this way about me. Every time I'm around this person, they are trying to destroy my self worth and my self esteem. How can I limit my interaction with this person? What is it that I can do in my day to make sure that this person is not in my space all day, every day? Start there. Start there. And
Mhm.
if you realize a lot of your life is dependent upon people who don't see you the way you see yourself, definitely start making some new connections so that you can start moving away from those people who don't see you as you see yourself. You can stop relying upon them, because we know the more you rely upon people like that, they're going to constantly remind you of how they see you and not how you see yourself. And sometimes that's not cute at all. Okay, I get it. I don't make enough money. I don't have enough this. I don't have enough that. Yes, I might be relying upon you for example, a ride to work. That means I have to see you every day and hear you talk about me in ways that are not helpful for me or conducive for me to get out of where I am. There are a lot of people stuck in that right there.
Mhm.
There were a lot of people stuck in that during COVID, by the way. There are a lot of people who felt like they were trapped with people or living with people or being confined in spaces with people that they could not get away from. That they were like, wait a minute, this relationship worked because we did not spend all day with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I have to spend all day with you and hear you, oh, this ain't gonna work. A lot of relationships ended during COVID because people were in spaces with people that they realized, wait a minute, this person doesn't see me the way I see myself. This person doesn't even align with the way I see myself. But I had enough space between me and them in the relationship that I didn't notice it. But in COVID, you had to get close up and personal with people because y'all was together, especially at the beginning. Remember, there wasn't a whole lot of places that you could go out. So most people stayed in and they had to figure out how to get along, how to communicate, how to talk with each other, um, how to find activities to do inside to keep them, keep their spirits up.
Mm-hmm.
And in that time, people started realizing that the people that they were surrounding themselves with were making their health worse. And they didn't even have COVID, but they were like,
Mm-hmm.
this environment I'm in is toxic. Some people during COVID got married during COVID because they were with that person to the point where they were able to get to know that person better and realize, oh, we actually do align. And so they got married
Mm-hmm.
during COVID and they're still going. So even in that time, it showed people who was a good fit for them emotionally, relationally, spiritually, all of those things, and who was absolutely toxic. And people came out of that out of the COVID time and said, never again. Never again.
Yeah.
Final thoughts, Pastor Ben.
Well, we no, we need to. I'm not going to say get along, but we need to understand and find out and see who's with us and who's against us, and make that. Nothing's wrong with releasing a person.
Right.
If that
They
person
don't
is
have to be your
toxic,
enemy.
right? They don't have to be. If that person is toxic, release them.
Hmm.
Release them. It's that simple. Now as Shantae said, now if this person is you're depending on this person for things, maybe you should try to figure something out. Figure something out to where you don't have to depend on that person so much. Because today we got Uber.
Hmm. Hmm.
you know, and they do have accounts to where like if you're going back and forth to work
Hmm.
and you're working for some type of business where you get discounts, and they have discounts anyway
Hmm.
many times. So, you just catch them at the right time of the day, the right one that's coming through, and boom, there you go. So make your life easier. Be happy. Be happy.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. I hope that we have said something that was helpful today. This has been another episode of Daring Dialogues, and I've been your host today, Shantae Charles. I want to thank you for your time and your attention. Remember, light is the most daring opposition to darkness. So continue to go out and be what, Pastor Ben?
Light.
Light. Take care, everyone. Be well, and most importantly, be light.